see we don't have any time to waste. So I hope we all go forth and really step into the future, but quickly. Thank you so much for a very inspiring talk. And now I'm very happy to introduce Donna Butts, who I've also known professionally for many years. You know, some of you saw in the original program another name of a moderator, and unfortunately he was unable to be with us today. But we are very pleased that Donna is now in this role. And in fact, it couldn't be more fortunate for us because Donna is recognized internationally for her commitment to intergenerational collaboration, and her work is really in harmony with today's theme of tapping the talents of older people. But I want to add a separate element to that, which is not only older people, but all generations. And I think you'll be hearing this theme today about how we are all in this together. And so, Donna, we're very pleased to have you here. Donna has been in the field of intergenerational programming for 40 years, believe it or not, and has really been instrumental in the last 20 years with Generations United, where she is executive director in putting these issues in the front of the general public all over the world, and also professionals as well. So her bio, again, is in the program. I don't want to read too many of her accomplishments. I do want to say that she's been named as one of the most top influential nonprofit organizations and leaders in the USA. And she's familiar with the UN. Some of you have seen her here before. She serves on 4 UN expert panels on intergenerational and family issues, and she was the recipient of the Eisner Prize. So Donna will introduce our panel and then lead an interactive dialogue. Hopefully we'll have a little time for questions. So Donna, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sandy. I wanted to be sure to say thank you to Sandy, to Rebecca, to Janet and the entire aging subcommittee, our aging committee, for all of the work that went into today, and to our inspiring speakers so far, and to the distinguished panel that you're about to hear from. But I also wanted to say thank you to such a distinguished audience. Many of you toil here at the UN regularly. You represent your countries, your organizations, and your causes. And you often do so with little thanks. You work to improve the lives of older people every day around the globe. So I want to say thank you. You understand the importance of engaging the strengths of all generations, and that each generation has value. And in particular, our bookend generations, our young and our old, that really hold our civil societies together, that are critical to the strengths of our countries and our world. It's an esteemed panel I get to moderate today. They have all worked diligently to help shift the conversation about aging from one of burden to one of benefit, and they're going to be talking about that today and what they each contribute. The theme, as you've been told, is stepping into the future, tapping the talents, contributions, and participation of older people, older persons in society. And not just society in general, but in our families, in our communities, and our villages. I was reminded of that yesterday when I was in a session with an executive from Nestle's, and he was talking about their new family-friendly policies, and speaking very proudly of them, as he should have, because he talked about new parents, whether adopted or biologically. And I had to ask him the question, and I said, I think that's absolutely wonderful, but does the policy include older adults who are stepping in to care for their children? Grandparents raising grandchildren, aunts and uncles. And I could tell that he didn't understand what I was saying, because he said, well, we've thought about elder care, but we haven't gotten there yet. So it goes back to that difficulty people have of realizing the contribution, the value that older adults contribute. They're not only the recipients of care, they're so often the givers of care. So today the panel is going to touch on the 3 topics: technology, entrepreneurship, and civic involvement. The panelists are fantastic. They're going to be joined today by Mark and and Sarah, who have already spoken. I'm not going to take time to read their bios. They are in your packet. Please do be sure to take the time, though, to read them. And along with what I was thinking as I was looking at them, think about their great accomplishments to date, but what they're going to be doing for many years to come, because we're all going to be in this work for quite some time to come. So first, we're going to hear from Frank Lehausen, who is the general manager of Medcom International in Germany, and he's going to address technology. So Frank.
Thank you. I'd like to talk about our activities with Silver Innovation in Germany. But first I have to show you some pictures and give you some information about Germany that you can correct. So first and foremost, Germany is a beautiful country in the middle of Europe, a very good place to live. But we also have a very strong regional effect. So we have a lot of places and squares where you have walk of fame jams and no strollers anymore, because when it comes to the definition of Moody's Investor Service, we are super aged, which means we have more than 20% of our population 65 years old. So we're the second oldest country in the world. And we also have the high age expectancy rate, which you can see is the second highest in the world after Japan. So there are some challenges ahead. But I think we're in a good shape, we have a good social insurance system, so I'm not worried about these things. But still, we have a age perception which is tended negative. So when you have a lot of people, everybody wants to live long, nobody wants to get old, because all people are sick, they are poor, they are not digital, and they're all looking the same. So we have a lot of stereotypes in Germany called the base generation, so nobody really cares. But things change, thanks God. For example, a lot of NGOs discover that they have a great volunteering potential, as I'm pointing out. So even in Germany, we have a lot of volunteers, 55 plus, doing a lot of work. And they also go to vote. We just had our national election 2 weeks ago, and the age group went to vote at least 75%. So it's also very important for the parties. Last but not least, and this is where we come in as a consultant, industry finds out by surprise that this age group has the most and the massive buying power of $363 billion. So what happened at this time is we often get asked for workshops to consult companies, and they look like that. They have no clue. They look about the numbers and say, yeah, that's the market, we get rich. What do? They talk about seniors and not with seniors. And this is one thing that we have a lot in our consultancy. And in 2008, I was asked to be a speaker in Tokyo, in Japan, at a silver market conference, and it's called the Digital Economy. And a lot of people are very excited about the aging suit. I guess a lot of you know it. So you put on the suit and you feel old. And there was another friend from Germany, from my hometown. So we were neighbors, we met in Tokyo. And he's one of the prestige professors in Germany at the Tech University of Aachen on innovation management. And we discussed this thing, and we all agreed that we have to enable seniors to co-design products and services. We don't have to guess, we have to ask them to get a good product. So we teamed up with an NGO called German Seniors League. It's a bit like ARP, not in size of course, but it's also working for the seniors in Germany. And we all agreed that seniors are experts at their own affairs at the best. Nobody can know better what a senior needs than seniors themselves. So we joined forces and said we don't go for the fake senior, we go to tap the talent. And therefore we applied for a research grant, and as Frank said, at this time, 2008, there were less to no academic research on the innovation potential of older people. So we got a grant, started our project called Open ISAR in 2010, and I could tell you a lot of this project. If you're interested in, you have a lot of papers we share, it's not a problem. Key question or key aim was to develop an open innovation platform, a website where generations can work on issues for senior persons. And from academic side, we also want to prove that elderly have the skills to be innovative, and they want to do. It's a motivation. We want to really look at, they call innovation management, lead users, aged lead users. We also want to set up infrastructure and also convince the industry. Keep it short, we succeed in all these fields. And I have this example with me too. The first thing we started was 2010, so it was 2 years after the iPhone came up. It was an online platform. We want to establish technology in this field. And we asked people to share their ideas how we can make mobile communication easier for seniors. We launched this website, and the first response we get was this letter from a local senior officer writing us a letter, not an email, saying thank you that you asked us to work on products and services. Some young engineers do something good or not too good, and we have to deal with it, but now we can participate. When we developed the website, we were discussing, do we need a pen and pencil approach? Do we really need an analog way to say, yes, we don't want to discriminate people who don't use the web? But out of more than 250 ideas, 2 came in a paper. For 2 reasons. If there's a senior who wants to participate, he knows somebody who knows how the internet works, kid, grandkid, or even better, they team up. We had a lot of co-creation with senior groups who met and really co-create on the scene and bring up ideas which we created in the group. And last but not least, the press take a very good, so with a very good media coverage, we could really build awareness of the innovation potential of German seniors. We won a lot of this contest in the research period. One famous one was on walker frames, so it's a kind of Pimp My Ride edition for Zimmer maps. It was about safety features, it was about design, it was about infrastructure, and we were very proud and still are. We got awarded for the best co-creation in the non-profit world from the PDMA, the Product Development and Management Association, which was saying that we destigmatize aging. It was very important for us because we show that seniors have potential and can tap. We also did it on a non-profit way. So this is a idea challenge we launched about pedestrian safety. So as you might know, seniors are very vulnerable when they walk around the city communities. We ask everybody from seniors to policemen to grandkids, what could we do to enhance senior safety? We give it to city planners and other people who are involved in this planning and thinking about what might be good. So we got the insights from the seniors themselves. So when you go for this kind of technique, you have a triple win. So first of all, it's the senior appreciation. They can share their knowledge. They have interaction, they have social inclusion, and just get echo mark, they have the option to help others. We did a lot of research effort into why these people participate, a lot of message framing, and to help others in the same age group not to struggle with any issues. That was the key driver. For the provider, if it is a company or a city or whatever, you got a better fit to the market because the people you want to support and serve, you get the insights. You have a higher success rate in private industry for business people. You reduce your cost of research and development. And for all of us, it's destigmatization. I think we have a better age perception. We have intergenerational success because we work together and we tap into talents. They are willing to share their knowledge to get a better future for themselves and for the next generations. It's no question. So we could prove experience create ideas, and I would say let's innovate together. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Edward Rogoff, who is the Dean at LIU Brooklyn School of Business, Public Administration, and Information Sciences here in the U.S. Dr. Rogoff is going to concentrate on entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much. I'm a member of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor research team. Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, or GEM, is a study that was started about 20 years ago by Babson College and London Business School. And we do annual surveys across the world with local teams represent about 85% of the world's GDP of entrepreneurs. And I say with all humility, it's by far the best study of entrepreneurs it's done. Very difficult to capture entrepreneurs from regular data sources like the census in the U.S. So I'm going to give you, we just published a report on senior entrepreneurship around the world. We took 1.5 million surveys collected over the last 10 years. You can see the whole report at gemconsortium.org. Go to the reports section, and then you can also look at the reports for any country that you're interested in, and many other special topics reports. One of the things we've learned is, over the years, is that there are two fundamental types of entrepreneurs. There are necessity-driven and opportunity-driven entrepreneurs, and the differences in those are profound. So, opportunity-driven is like Ray Kroc. He was a 55-year-old salesman who visited a store that sold hamburgers, who went, wow, this is a fantastic opportunity. He put together a deal, he bought it, he created McDonald's, and he's one of the most successful senior entrepreneurs of all time. But it started with, he had options, he had a job, he didn't have to do this to make a living. He perceived an opportunity, he took advantage of it. The alternative is someone like a client we had at our entrepreneurship center, a guy who I'm just going to say his name is Stu. Stu worked for retailers all his life. He was about 60 years old. He lost his job. He couldn't figure out what else to do. He needed to work. He didn't have huge savings. And he had to come up with a plan. And the first part of his plan was getting a job. And that didn't work. Partially because the industry he was in wasn't good, partially because he was too old, partially because people were prejudiced against him and thought, what does this guy know about technology? That's where retail is going. So he reinvented himself. Out of necessity, he reinvented himself. And the business that he came up with was actually a tech business where he collected data and he distributed it throughout the industry. He does newsletters and he does consulting, and he's become very successful. And he was driven by necessity. So when we talk about entrepreneurs, I'm going to give you some examples of data, overall data that we've collected. Keep these distinctions in mind. So globally, what can I tell you about senior entrepreneurs or older entrepreneurs? I don't know what to call them. If you look at our report, you'll see we end up calling them both. So number one, the prevalence of business ownership among seniors across the world is the same as it is for middle-aged populations. There's no drop-off in the number of people who own businesses as they get old. Senior entrepreneurs across the world tend to actually be more risk-taking than younger entrepreneurs. They tend to have weaker networks because they sort of live their lives, generally speaking, in less interaction with other people. But basically, across the world, and in the U.S., and I'll give you some U.S. numbers in a second, it's already done. So entrepreneurship among older populations is already here. They've beaten us to the punch on this. So in the United States, for example, which is the data I know best, about 11% of Americans own businesses. So if you take a look at people 55 to 64, 7.7% of them own businesses. However, if you kind of correct the data to take a look at those people who have not completely left the workforce. So some people really retire, right? They just say, I've had it, I'm finished, I don't want to work anymore in any shape or form, and they say, I'm done. If you take those people out, 11.8% of the balance own their own businesses. Among people 65 plus, the corrected number is 18.4% own businesses. So in the United States, the older you are, the more likely you are to be an entrepreneur. In the United States, the older you are, the more likely you are to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I find this to be astounding. Half of businesses in the United States are owned by people over 50. 70% of 50-plus entrepreneurial ventures started by people over 50 last more than 3 years, while only 28% of businesses started by people under 50 last 3 years. So, what do we know? We know that entrepreneurship is basically supported by age. Entrepreneurs who are older have more education, they have more experience, they have more knowledge, they have greater financial capabilities. They're perfectly comfortable doing tech businesses. In fact, tech businesses reduce the barriers to getting into business. You know, it used to be you needed to rent an office, you needed to hire staff, you know, you needed a bookkeeper, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now you just have a computer, you put up, you know, set up your business in the corner of your bedroom, and you're an entrepreneur. And you can outsource everything from handling the distribution of your product to having your bills paid. So, and the other thing, I'll just end on this, is that entrepreneurship is a team sport. It's a team sport for people of all ages. People don't do it alone. You know, Bill Gates started Microsoft with his father. Jeff Bezos started Amazon with support from his parents. Steve Jobs started his business with his father. It's very common to be a family business. It's very common to be a team sport. And this really raises the issue for senior entrepreneurs about teaming up with people who are younger, because they do have different sets of skills, and also because it sort of builds in a succession plan for the business. So my message to you is, this is already here. Let's figure out how we're going to support this group the best way that we can. Let's be cognizant of the fact that some people are doing this because they can afford to take an opportunity and a risk, and other people are doing it because they have to, and those two populations need to be dealt with separately. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. I'd like to remind people that in your package you have a card, and if you have any questions for the panel, for Mark, for Sarah, this would be a good time to start writing those down, thinking about the questions you want to ask, and hold them up, and someone will be around to pick those up. So this is the way that we'll be asking questions, so be sure to continue with your cards. So next, it's my privilege to introduce Livingstone Bartholomew Queso. He is the Executive Director of the NGO Sawaka, which is in Tanzania, and they are affiliated with HelpAge, but what they stand for is support the elders in Tanzania. So
Ladies and gentlemen, after participating in this remarkable event, as already introduced, my name is thank you. As I've already been introduced, my name is Livingstone Bartholomew Queso. I'm coming from Tanzania, and I work as a director of an organization called Sawaka. Sawaka stands for HelpAge Tanzania, or Support the Aid in Tanzania. It's an affiliate member to HelpAge International, and a member to African Social Protection Platform. Our organization focuses on growing and advocacy for the rights of older people, particularly social protection. We also focus on health education and HIV impact mitigation. We are focusing on emergency and relief support to elderly people and their dependents. And we also focus on households' economic strengthening of older people, of which we always engage older people with income generation activities. We are mobilizing older people to form self-help groups and provide them with the seed capital to start income generation activities to sustain their life. The situation of older people in Tanzania is that Tanzania has more than 2.5 million people over the age of 65, which forms 5.6% of the total population of Tanzanian people. Most of the older people are poor. They are suffering from chronic illness and disabilities, and they experience social exclusion, rights abuse, and discrimination. But although there have been a growing interest in addressing these problems, Tanzania still does not have specific laws against elder abuse. Some abuses are covered by criminal law or laws affecting civil rights, property rights, family violence, or mental health. And many older people in Tanzania have low income. It's only 4% of older people who receive monthly pension, and 96% of them have not covered by any social protection scheme. factually figure. Older people care for 54% of the 2 million orphans and vulnerable children. Most of these caregivers are women with no reliable income. When there is an explained death in the community, older women are accused of witchcrafts and are subject to violence in their homes by close members. And cultural taboos restricts the human rights of older women who are also the victims of discrimination. Cultural practices, especially after the death of a spouse. We find that most of the properties of a widow is distributed to the nearest male relative after the death of their spouse. Police report in 2016 shows that in 2014, 157 older people were killed. In 2015, 190, and by October 2016, 119 older people were killed, respectively, due to witchcraft allegations. But this shows a trend positive in the reduction of the killings of older people, and this is due to action which has been taken. We have increased awareness rising using kids club, youth clubs, but also using the media houses, but also we are using the intergenerational agreement. We are establishing kids clubs. We are inviting older people to talk with young people in schools and colleges, but also the government has established a national task force to investigate the causes and prosecute the suspects. But why older people are accused of witchcrafts? It's because of the range and the property disputes against widows. We find that accusations of witchcrafts are used to force widows to live in the rents and tenants. Family members or neighbors ask traditional leaders to make witchcraft accusations against women for financial gains. Also, in our country, we have weak policies and legal framework to deal with witchcrafts related either torture and killings. There is common physical myth about witches, because most of our people in our country think that witches have red eyes. So, in the older women, because of their lifestyle, from cooking over smoke stoves or many poor conditional activities, we find that they have red eyes. What we are doing after to address these problems is that we have been doing the lobbying and advocacy to influence policy changes in areas such as rights on universal pension, free medical services, the regulation of the national living policy, including older people in the local government plans and budgets. We have also been implementing practical projects to support older people, of which we have been encouraging older people to engage in income generation activities, human rights training, HIV/AIDS impact mitigation, referral and connection with the other service providers, like those who have legal problems. We always link them with the legal aid service provider. But also we have been bringing older people and young persons together at Kids Club, Senior Citizens Club, as schools to challenge negative attitude toward older people, organizing school competitions such as essay competition, debate about the challenges facing older people. And what actually we are emphasizing is the enforcement of the aging policy. We are lucky that the government has been listening to us, and of recent, there has been a launch of universal pension scheme for Tanzanians over 60 years in Tanzania Island, which is part of the United Republic of Tanzania. We have started with the 70 years old. It's because of the limited funding. The government has also introduced the property tax exemption for older people in residential housing. There is the introduction of free medical services for older people, and some district councils have started locating funds to support older people initiatives. The overall achievement of our organization that we have trained over 400 older people monitoring groups to track and monitor older people and use evidence for advocacy. We have provided 780 support loans to women who run income generation activities in the second-hand clothes. Cash transfer initiatives have been started in some districts. And also, the area we see that we need improvements is that we need to increase our efforts on advocacy and lobbying to educate political leaders and government officials about human and constitutional rights of other people so that we provide equitable, responsive services to other people and their maintenance. What we are looking ahead is that we need to increase our advocacy and lobbying skills, make sure that Tanzania and other African countries adopt, ratify, and implement the UN Convention on the Rights of Other People and ratification of the AU protocol. But also, I must emphasize that we must empower other people through their organization to engage with local, national, regional, and global stakeholders to ensure that strategic sustainable development goals, the follow-up and review, integrate the perspective of rights of other people. Thank you. You have been a wonderful audience, and thank you for listening to me.